This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. Deadlifts, chicken nuggets, video games. This is Check My Total, a powerlifting podcast with Timothy Payne and Andrew Hinson.
Ho, 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 everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and whatever else. Hanukkah.
Kwanzaa.
I don't know of any others. I don't know what the Indians celebrate. What do they celebrate?
I'm sure they celebrate something, but we're here for the holidays and we're here for the Check My Total podcast.
That's right. The only podcast where your article goes offline that you were going to talk about.
So why don't you tell that story?
So we titled this podcast a muscle deep dive because I was gonna try and talk about the squat and kind of the muscles involved in the squat and kind of how you should squat. And I found a good article that brought up some good points on the hamstring. It was basically a study of you should squat in a way that maximizes all your muscle, but does that mean that you should try and load your hamstrings by sitting back in the squat as far as possible? Or should you sit back in your squat and hinge at your hips by using your glutes and try and have more of a, I guess, more straight spine and not a ton of forward lean? And it was kind of interesting. But that article I found that had all of those studies and groups is gone. At least I can't find it anymore because the webpage that I did find it on is no longer here.
So if you were going to source it, what's the website?
It was the one of those academic study things, like a.
Oh, that's real weird that it disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know where it went, honestly. I tried to find it. I tried searching by the title of it. I can't find it, but I can still kind of talk about some, because you can find some articles that are kind of similar. But so basically, the muscles that have the biggest impact in the squat, those are the ones that you should be focusing on, and you should squat in a way that uses those muscles. So I guess
let's
we
name
can start,
those muscles for our listeners.
Yeah, let's start by figuring out what the primary muscles are in the squat. Obviously, the squat uses a ton of muscles in the body, but I would say your main movers are your hips, which I'll include your glutes there. Your quads and the posterior chain.
Yeah.
And I'll throw the core in. And the hamstrings help on the descent.
Yes.
I would consider those the kind of the prime mover.
And I agree. I was going to say lower back, but you said posterior chain, so same thing.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different ways to squat, and I would say that in general, most people squat in the way that uses their muscles to the maximum effect. Most people I would say most people squat with a shoulder width or slightly wider than shoulder width stance so that they can use their quads.
Right.
Versus, there's a couple people, but most people don't squat with a super wide stance.
No. And I only saw super wide stances becoming popular when all this equipment started coming out.
Yeah.
Because if you're a raw lifter, you could only, put your feet apart so wide before you fall over. So these guys that are wearing squat suits and stuff, when they squat down, your suit's getting tighter. So it's almost like they're sitting down and doing a box squat without needing to have a box. So that's why what we just said. Ooh, I was on a good roll and then my brain just stopped. Anyways, that's why these people are able to get out super wide, is because that suit is helping them stay upright.
Yeah.
And that's where this loading the hamstrings and being, like I said, super upright with your upper body and your back. That's where all that kind of comes from, is the geared equip world.
Yeah. And I will say this, if they're the only raw lifters that do squat really wide, a lot of them are lifters that have knee wraps on, I've noticed. To get some extra spring.
And to squat, to squat that far out wide, you got to have a good knee track, if that makes sense. Like your knees can't fall in if you're squatting out super wide. It's more critical for them to be, pushed out while you're trying to go down and explode back up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if your knees fall in, that's kind of an indicator of having weak quads.
Yeah. That is true.
So,
I'm looking.
You're saying these articles are saying that to maximize your squat, you don't need to focus on loading your hamstrings.
Yeah. And I get
like as your primary.
Yeah, as your primary source. And when we say load your hamstrings, I mean, like sitting way far back, like exaggerating kind of the sitting back motion.
Yeah, if you think of your shin, being perpendicular with the ground. For example, when we do box squats, somebody that's really advanced that does box squats, when they sit back on the box, their shin will actually be tilted. We're talking about, your knee in relation to your ankle. So perpendicular, that means that your knee is right over your ankle and your shin straight up and down. Yeah. So these advanced people doing a box squat, their knee will actually be behind their ankle because they've built up so much, glutes and hammies and hips to where they can be, so far away from their midfoot to explode off the box because they're strong in that lower part on the backside, hips and hammies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of exaggerated position we're talking about. I think the most, which is what this article, I guess, was getting at, to maximize that, you still want to have your knee and the bar over your midfoot. So if you start trailing out over your toes, that's kind of bad territory to be in. Which, depending on how close your stance is, I guess you'll have a little more knee trying to go out over your toe thing going on.
Yeah.
Plus, if you want to get super scientific, the length of your femur and all that kind of mess.
Yeah. But if you're really tall, like you got really long legs, your knees going past your toe isn't necessarily terrible. I've read some studies where, and it's just slightly above it, or slightly past your toes, because the bar's still over a tall person's midfoot.
Right. That's what I was about to say. They got more back to kind of low bar it.
Yeah.
But I think the width of your stance also has to do with how many muscle groups you get included.
Mm-hmm.
So the angle at which you're coming down, so how far back your knee is in relation to being over your ankle, and then how close or far apart your feet are. So the closer your feet are, you're scrunching everything up, so to say, which puts more quads into it. The farther away your feet are, the more butt and hamstrings you put into it.
Yeah. That's true. So I found one article that is similar to the study I read. it's on a site Stronger by Science. I think that's the site Greg Knuckles runs or something.
Oh, Greg Knuckles. That's funny.
Yeah,
He used to live with us.
he did. Uh, I think he's still on the record book somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway.
He talks about it some, and it was basically the gist of the article. I think it's called Hamstrings. Hamstrings, the most overrated muscle group for the squat. Uh, Basically, what it comes down to is, uh, in there were three groups of lifters, and the best squatters in the study had the most torque generated from their quads, and that their hamstrings were more to use like kind of to stabilize and like on the descent, not so much like coming out from the hole.
Right.
So it was basically it's basically I think he's making the case for uh don't just go crazy with the forward lean in your squat and sitting way back. Instead, focus on squatting in a manner that uses your quads and your glutes, and just kind of focus more of coming out of the hole using your quads and glutes and stuff, and not trying to lean far forward and sit way back.
Yeah, as a raw competitor, you want to have some forward lean in your squat, but you don't want to be bent over so much to where you're doing a good morning.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest things, especially for novice lifters to overcome, or somebody that just gets in the habit and it's really hard to break, is when you're trying to come out of the hole, your hips will shoot up first. So the reason that's happening could also, people think, the reason your hips and stuff are shooting up is because they're stronger. Well, no, anytime you're lifting weights, your body's trying to put you in the best position to where you're strongest at. So, for example, when we first got a hold of Andrew, he was real bad at shooting his hips up, trying to come out of the hole, which put him in a good morning position. Well, the reason his body was trying to put him in that position is because he had a real strong lower back, and, that's where his body wanted him. So really, strengthening Andrew's hips and his quads helped him with that bending over. And also some good mornings didn't, they helped you too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would love, which I know this doesn't help with the podcast, but to see pictures of all the people he studied and what their stance looked like. Because I just feel like your feet position have a lot to do with this, what muscle groups you're loading thing.
Oh yeah. It definitely does. I wonder. Actually, let me just do a Google search. Let's see. I want to know some of the top raw squatters. I want to know what stance they are.
Yeah.
If before I look this up, I'm going to bet money that probably 90% of them are just slightly wider than shoulder width.
That would be my guess. I think that's the best spot to be in.
If I had to guess. Let's see. Man, all I got was I just want give me the top. Give me, I don't know, top 5 top raw squatters. All I get is 5 tips. Well, here we go. Here's a YouTube video. Let me just kind of watch this.
Skim through it.
Let me skim through it.
And the reason we're talking about you need a little body lean is to put some lower back into your squat. But it's kind of like me in deadlifting. You gotta be able to keep your back static in that slight lean. So, that's just something that comes with overtime and strengthening your back and your hips up.
Yeah, man, this was these people are not raw lifters. They're like people all in suits.
Oh, well,
Let's see. Here we go. Let's watch this one. These are supposed to be they're just people that place top in what do they call that thing? The USA thing that they do every year? Raw Nationals?
USAPL?
Yeah. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, they have a Raw Nationals. Yep.
Yeah. So skimming through this video, uh at least the first four ladies here are all squatting feet at shoulder width for the ladies, and then I bet the guys are a little bit wider. Let's see. Let's see this dude here. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, most of these people, it looks like there's 8 people in this video,
Uh-huh.
and they're all taking slightly wider than shoulder width, and the females are generally at shoulder width. And looks like all of them but one of them pull sumo. But
That's the way of the world.
it's the way of the world. But yeah, it looks like whatever muscles can generate the most power out of the hole, but you got to kind of think of the angle you're at in the hole, and your quads and your glutes and your hips and stuff. That's really going to get you out of the hole more than anything.
Yep.
Or you just go to good morning and you good morning it up like a champion.
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
you hit elite, and then you injure your back because you good morning every squat in your whole entire career.
and now all you do is just go to meets and sign autographs.
Yep. But yeah, I really wish I had that one study. It was really interesting. I just can't find it. I
I
don't
wish
know
you
where
had
it
it
went.
too.
Yeah, I don't know where it went.
Another big point I want to make though, just a general tip for any lifting that you're doing, especially powerlifting, you got to work your front side and back side exactly the same. So for example, if somebody's bench pressing, everybody's worried about their chest and their arms. You got to work your back just as much to get that bench press to go up and be strong. So the same thing here. We're talking about quads. If you're only focused now after listening to us is, I got to get in the gym and do a bunch of leg extensions. Yeah, sure, do some leg extensions, but you better be doing some hamstring curls too. Your
Yeah.
front and your back side got to be the same.
Yep. And this is just for the squat as far as hamstring goes. This does not mean don't train your hamstrings, because if you don't have strong hamstrings, you can kiss the deadlift goodbye.
Well, the squat too, but yeah, that deadlift especially.
Yeah, that deadlift really hits your hamstrings. You good luck with weak hamstrings on the deadlift. But yeah, you need to be training it all. I guess the real takeaway is I guess I've heard it a lot. I know Cravey would teach it to me. He's like, load your hamstrings, which I guess sounds good in theory because it's supposed to, sit back, but at the same time, when you sit back and that's all you focus on, you just end up with weak quads and good mornings all the time.
Yeah, which is
Because if you think about it, in order to load your hamstrings hardcore in the squat, you have to have a lot of forward lean, and you have to sit way back. And if you got a lot of forward lean, then your hips are your hip angle is like this terrible 10-degree angle that just you can't generate any force from.
It's a cute little angle.
Yeah, it's one of those acute angles. And you can't generate any force from there. You're just collapsing in on yourself. So stand a little bit more upright. That doesn't mean like 90 degrees. You can
You
have some
need,
forward lean.
yeah. Just, you got to make sure that bar doesn't go out over your toes. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's really the main thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a series. Maybe the muscle deep dive could be a series where we pick a muscle group and we talk about how it impacts the big three lifts.
Let's do it.
And
Sounds like a plan.
I'll be sure next time to have more than just one article, so that if for some
Yeah,
reason I get a
we'll
page
just call
full
this our
report.
overview and preview because we'll definitely come back to the hamstrings
Yeah, we'll just call this kind
with
of a
some more
preview.
information.
Yeah, because I need more time with this apparently,
Well,
especially
you
now
didn't
that
know your
my
articles
school's
were
still.
going to disappear on you.
Yeah, man, it was good. It had like NCAA athletes and uh yeah, it was basically like you had some control groups and it was interesting. I mean, not all studies in fitness are great. You know, they all have flaws, but
Right.
it was interesting. It was basically the same conclusion that, most people with some common sense will come to. Squat in a manner that suits your body well and that can utilize the most muscles.
Yes, sir.
And along with that, if you try and emphasize one muscle over the other, there's consequences to that. If you try and load the hamstrings to 110%, well, now you're at a weird angle and probably aren't going to squat the most efficiently.
And as
Versus
far
if
as
you
your
try and load the
training,
quads, do same thing with the quads. If you try and do 100% of the squatting with your quads, then you're not going to lift as much.
yeah. And as far as your training goes, don't neglect if you got really strong quads and decide you need to work your hamstrings, don't neglect your quads. You still got to do that quad work.
That is true. People talk about, oh, you gotta make strong what's weak, gotta train what's weak. Well, you do, but if you train what's weak all the time, then you're strong. Whatever you were strong at just gets weaker.
Yeah.
So you gotta train what is strong, and you have to train what is weak. The yin and yang.
But
Um,
that's the fun of lifting weights because you're always going to have a weak point.
that is true. But that's about all I have as far as this preview to our series, the muscle deep dive. I don't know what we'll do next, but we'll come back to the hamstring at some point and talk about it more as far as the deadlift and bench press goes. And I don't know, maybe I'll get a little scientific. Maybe I'll actually talk about what it does and the parts that make it up.
Yeah, and if there's a muscle group y'all want to hear first, send us a message and we'll get to it first.
Yeah. Oh, pro tip on the squat. If you want a life hack on the squat, especially if you're a lady lifter, uh, if you don't have a lot of back muscle built up yet, and you don't have a shelf to place the bar on, you can fake it till you make it, and move your hands closer in.
Yeah.
So what that does is basically stacks what little muscle and basically all your skin and bone.
Yeah, it scrunches it all up.
Yeah, it scrunches it all up together. So
Which if you're a guy too, same thing. I ain't got no shoulders.
yeah, that's true.
My shoulders just drop off.
And if you can't get your grip that way, it's not comfortable. Go thumbless,
Yep.
or sometimes I'll do this, or go three fingers on but still keep your thumb looped, so you're just grabbing with three fingers and a thumb. I've done that before.
Yep. I've seen people do it both ways and both of them work.
Yeah, so little life hack there. But dude, do you know what we're doing for the January fitness challenge?
What are we doing?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Oh, I thought you were about to give us a preview of that too.
No. Have you thought more about the body fat thing?
I just don't know how we'll keep it consistent unless it's just a me and you thing.
I mean, we won't keep it. I doubt you can keep it consistent between just other people.
Yeah. But quick announcement though, this is going to be our last podcast of 2019.
That is true. This is the last time you're going to hear us in 2019.
So the next one will be coming out whatever that first Friday is in January.
That is true.
Friday, I don't know, probably like the 12th or something. Oh, I don't know. I think the 6th is a Monday.
Probably.
So 6 plus. Anyway, I'll look at a calendar, but whatever the first Friday is in January, we'll be back.
Dude, is that when you're going to start going to the gym?
Well, maybe I'll go to the gym before the 6th, then we have something to talk about.
That's true.
I get to tell you all the weird people in the gym and what they do every day.
That's true. All right, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do for the fitness challenge, man.
It's starting to sound like for me just to go to the gym. That's my challenge.
That's your challenge, man.
Just go to the gym.
Maybe we can pick an exercise or something that.
Yeah, we're going to.
We can pick something.
Yeah, we might not make another podcast, but keep your eyes out on the Instagram because we'll do a post about the challenge.
Yeah, maybe if it's an exercise, someone can beat us and get a reward.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah, overhead press for reps or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll come up with something a little out of the box. That it won't be a max out or anything.
Yeah.
But it'll be something. But
you gonna lead us on out and break us down for the last time in 2019?
Last time in 2019. Man, what a year it's been for the Check My Total podcast. We've gone all the way from January to all the way to December, 365 and a fourth days or 2/3 days, whatever it is scientifically around the Earth or Sun. Yeah, we moved on. The Earth's no longer the center. The only thing I learned in 2019 is the Earth is flat. The conspiracy theories are real. Area 51 is real. The aliens are real. The people all across the nation and the world listening to this podcast, we appreciate every single one of your listeners. Both of your ears are tuning in. You're listening. You're giving us feedback. Always DM us. Ask us any questions. They don't even have to be lifting related. Ask us just any questions in general. I'll help you out in your life. Ask me about finances. Ask me about food. Ask me about your marriage. I'll counsel you for free. I'm not a licensed physician or anything, so no guarantee that my services will be as good as any other services you can actually buy. With trained professionals. Ladies and gentlemen, it's because of you this podcast has been a fantastic experience for both me and T-Payne. Yeah. Every single one of you. I hope you have a fantastic holiday, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. Hope you have a good one. I don't know if it's night, dark, summer, or winter where you're listening from or what hemisphere you're at, but know that I'm thinking about you, each and every one of you. And let me tell you, no matter what happens in the future of this country, this podcast will always stand. It will always be here. It will never be impeached. No one can shut us down. There's no power or entity that can bring us down on this day of 2019. We're going to see you people in 2020 coming at you with bigger things, newer guests, new people, new ideas, new cuts, new cookie cutters, and new rolling pins. We're going to see you on the other side. Watch the ball drop. I will be. Peace out.
Peace. What's up, everybody? It's almost 2020. It's the end of the decade, but it's the beginning of a new powerlifting season. February 8th will be the IBP Western Carolina Powerlifting Open in Morganton, North Carolina. That'll be the first full power meet of the year. But all you ladies listening out there, on March 21st will be the second annual Iron Girl Powerlifting Championships, and that will also be full power. For more meets and what we have scheduled so far, go ahead and check out the website, ironboypowerlifting.com.
Please subscribe and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @CheckMyTotal on Instagram for all the latest updates.